Los Angeles, February 2026. A small house on the edge of the San Fernando Valley carried the scent of warm tortillas, sizzling meat, and freshly chopped cilantro. Inside, the kitchen light flickered softly against the evening dark. Elizabeth Ramirez, Lisa to everyone who knew her, stood at the stove, slowly stirring a pot of simmering sauce. She was 34. Her blonde hair was pulled into a careless ponytail, loose strands falling around her face. Tomato stains marked her t-shirt like quiet evidence of an ordinary, busy life. At the kitchen table sat Miguel, 36. Broad shoulders, hands permanently rough, carved by years of labor at an auto repair shop. Hands that fixed engines by day and held his children gently at night. He had lived in this country for 14 years without papers. 14 years of caution, of lowered voices, of avoiding certain knocks at the door. But his children were born here. This was his home. This was everything. Dad, what if I never learned the multiplication table? 8-year-old Daniel asked, staring hopelessly at his notebook. Miguel looked at him and smiled, that quiet, steady smile that still made something tighten in Lisa's chest. Then I'll be proud of you for trying, mijo. Across the room, 11-year-old Sophia, the princess of the family, sat curled up with headphones on, recording a TikTok titled My Perfect Evening with My Family. She knew her father was without papers, but in her world, that only meant Dad doesn't like talking about documents. Lisa paused. She looked at her husband, at her son bent over his homework, at her daughter laughing softly into her phone. And a thought crossed her mind. Sudden, fragile. This is it. My whole world. Just let nothing break. Outside, somewhere in the distance, a car door slammed. Lisa didn't know that in 40 minutes, everything would shatter. "1947. The knock came. Not the doorbell. A knock. Heavy, deliberate. The kind of knock that said the person outside already knew someone was home and expected the door to open. Miguel was the first to look up. His eyes met Lisa's. And there it was, the thing she had only ever seen in his nightmares. Raw animal fear. "Kids, to your rooms." "Now," Lisa said quietly, her voice steady in a way she did not feel. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. 4 figures stood on the porch, black tactical uniforms, body armor, the bold letters on their vests, ICE. One of them held a sheet of paper in his hand, an administrative warrant. No judge's signature, just paper. Lisa opened the door as far as the chain would allow. "How can I help you?" "Mrs. Ramirez? We're looking for Miguel Ramirez. We have a warrant for his detention." The agent's voice was calm, almost polite, as if he were here to collect a package. "My husband isn't here," Lisa lied. For half a second, silence stretched thin, then footsteps behind her. Miguel stepped out of the kitchen. His hands were raised slightly, palms visible. "I'm here." Daniel began to cry even before the agents crossed the threshold. Everything happened very fast and unbearably slow at the same time. The agents cuffed Miguel right there in the hallway, metal against skin. The sharp click of handcuffs sounded louder than it should have in a family home. One of them, a young officer with a tight buzz cut, began to speak. "Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in immigration court." His tone was procedural, practiced, detached. Sophia burst out of her room. She threw herself at her father, wrapping her arms around his waist. "Don't take him. He didn't do anything." "Daddy!" For a split second, Miguel closed his eyes. The agent gently, but firmly, pulled the girl away. Lisa felt like she was underwater. She could hear her own voice, distant, unfamiliar. "He has rights. Our children are citizens. You can't just—" "Ma'am," the agent interrupted, calm and unmoved. "We can. And we are. There is an administrative warrant. If you want to help your husband, advise him to cooperate." The words landed like cold stones. Miguel turned toward Lisa. His eyes were red now, but his voice did not shake. "Cariño, call Carlos. Tell him they took me. And don't cry in front of the kids." For a second, the house held its breath. Then they let him outside. Red and blue lights flickered silently against the walls. Neighbors had already stepped onto their lawns. Phones raised, screens glowing in the dark. Someone shouted, "Ice, go home." Lisa stood barefoot on the porch. She didn't remember grabbing his jacket, but it was in her hands now. Inside the pocket was his wallet and a photograph. The four of them on a windy afternoon at Santa Monica Beach 2 years earlier. Sophia squinting at the sun, Daniel covered in sand. Miguel holding Lisa close, both of them laughing at something no one else could hear. The front door behind her was still open, but the house no longer felt like home. The kids were finally put to bed somehow. Sophia cried until 3 in the morning. Daniel just sat silently staring at the wall. Lisa sat in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear. First, she called the lawyer, an old acquaintance, Carlos Mendez, who had handled dozens of cases like this. "Lisa, listen to me carefully." Carlos's voice was tired, worn down by years of battles. "They're taking him to one of the new mega centers, most likely that huge warehouse near Lancaster. Over 3,000 people already there. Conditions not sweet. Connections to the outside are nearly impossible." "What should I do?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Come to my office first thing in the morning," Carlos said. "Bring all the documents, the children's birth certificates, your marriage certificate, tax returns for the last few years. And get ready. They're pushing hard right now. The deportation quotas are huge." Lisa was silent. "And..." Carlos paused, his voice lowering. "There are rumors they've started checking for denaturalization of people helping to hide relatives. Be careful." The next day, Lisa went to St. Rose Church, one of the well-known sanctuary places. People in similar situations were already gathering there. A woman named Maria, whose husband had been taken a week earlier, gave her the number of an underground network. Ordinary people, drivers, volunteer lawyers, even a former ICE agent who had quit in protest. "They're using the CBP Home app now," Maria whispered. "They offer $1,000 and a free ticket if you leave on your own. Many break, especially those with kids here." Lisa began to act. She created a secret chat with other wives, collected money for lawyers, visited the detention center standing in line for 6 hours just to deliver a letter and clean socks to Miguel. In one of his letters, Miguel wrote, "It's like a warehouse here. Cold, food, rice, and beans once a day. But I'm holding on. The most important thing is the kids. Don't let them take you too. If they start pressuring, go into the shadows. I love you more than life itself." 10 days later, they came back to Lisa's house. This time, 2 agents and a woman from USCIS. Mrs. Ramirez, one of them began, "We have received information that you were harboring an undocumented immigrant and obstructing law enforcement. This could be considered a felony. Additionally, we are reviewing the circumstances of your birthright citizenship. Just in case." Lisa felt the floor drop out beneath her. "I'm a citizen by birth. I was born in California," she said, her voice barely steady. "We know, but many cases are being revisited now, especially if there are connections to undocumented individuals." They left, leaving a court summons behind. That night, Lisa thought about running for the first time. Not for herself, for the children, and for Miguel. Carlos found a loophole. One of the new mega warehouses near El Paso was still being prepared for opening. Security was light during this stage, and activists were planning a protest. Lisa made her decision. She sold her car, gathered all their savings, coordinated with the underground network. Miguel was to be extracted during his transfer between centers. Risky, nearly suicidal. The night before the operation, she spoke to her children. "We're going on a little trip," she said, "to help Daddy. But it's a secret, not a word to anyone." Sophia looked at her mother with unexpectedly grown-up eyes. "We're going to Canada?" Lisa just nodded. The night of the transfer. Rain poured down in sheets, drumming against the vehicles. Miguel was being transported in a regular van, lightly guarded. The new center wasn't ready yet. Activists blocked the road with 2 cars. Chaos erupted. Lisa waited in a third car half a kilometer away, heart pounding. When Miguel jumped out of the van and ran into the darkness, she was already holding the door open. "Daddy!" Daniel shouted from the back seat. They drove all night, north, across the desert, through small towns. At the Canadian border, a priest from the Sanctuary Network met them. The children's documents were in order. For Miguel, temporary fake Canadian papers, enough for the first stage. They settled in a small town outside Vancouver. Miguel found work at an auto repair shop. Lisa started teaching English online. The children attended a regular school. But every night, Lisa would wake up to the same nightmare. The knock at the door. Sometimes Miguel would take her hand and say, "We survived. That's what matters." And she would reply, "We didn't survive. We're just still running." By late spring 2026, they received a letter from Carlos. "The case is closed, but they are still looking for you. Be careful. The war in America hasn't ended. It's just moved inside now." In February 2027, Sophia recorded a video. Not for TikTok. For herself. She looked into the camera and said, "My dad is the best person in the world. He's not a criminal. He just wanted us to have a better life." If you're watching this, please remember, families cannot be torn apart. Ever. The screen went dark. Somewhere far away across the border, in a small Canadian house, a light burned. 4 people sat around the table eating dinner. They laughed. They were together. And that was the only thing that truly mattered.